I'm Bobby Wong from EO Malaysia, and you are watching EOtv.
Welcome to EOtv. I'm Andrea Cullen.
And I'm Randall Mauricio. Welcome to your weekly Entrepreneurs Organization webcast.
Today, in true entrepreneurial fashion, we have thrown out the EO rulebook. That's right. Today's going to be different. Not just for EOtv, but also for you. When you see today's cast, it just might change the way you look at life, at membership in EO, and at the power of the EO network.
Absolutely. This week, the entire cast is going to feature one entrepreneur's story about how EO has not only been a part of his life, but how members were there when needed in ways that he could have never imagined. This is a story about success, tragedy, and then success.
This is a story that captures the essence of membership in EO. There are hundreds of stories out there, and we at EOtv want to share these experiences with you.
So you can learn about your peers and the knowledge and insight gained from their personal experiences.
You're about to meet Ben Richter. Ben is married to Andrea, and together they have 3 children. Ben is also the CEO of Bradford Logistics in Houston, Texas, USA, and a member of the Houston chapter. Ben is also a volunteer within EO, and this story begins at the EO Leadership Conference being held in Vancouver, BC, Canada, September 10th to 12th, 2008.
And in hindsight, this turned out to be the best place that Ben could have been while Hurricane Ike was heading towards the shores of Houston, Texas. So Andrea, how about it? Let's take a look at Ben's story.
Although I had made some significant commitments about my participation at the event, there were a number of people whispering in my ear with my family back home and a hurricane emerging on Houston, you need to get back. One fellow in particular, Kevin Langley, had experienced firsthand in some of the tragedy in New Orleans what it's like to lose your home, your business, be transplanted out of his city for several months before coming back to a powerless, waterless home. And I really didn't heed the warning well. And although we all like to judge ourselves as being very wise and willing to listen, and with our forum skills, I guess I should have been more astute, but I waited until the last minute till CNN is broadcasting the inevitable that the storm is going to hit Houston and go right through downtown. And at that point I start looking for a flight, and of course, no flights to be had. And even a fellow like me working within aviation was finding it very difficult to arrange safe passage home. I finally did meander my way to Phoenix with the hopes of getting to Austin. In Austin, a gentleman by the name of Chris Canada, a former president there, had already agreed to pick me up and take me to our ranch home out in Blanco, Texas. There I had a big truck hiding in a garage, and I was going to take that directly into the eye of the storm and hopefully make it home before the hurricane hit. And I did just that. I find myself driving home. They're barricading up our city, and I tell them this sob story about my family being home without me and my young kids, and they let me trek along in my big truck through the rain, and I made it home. But that's not the story. The story starts after the storm blazes through on Friday, and Saturday is a day of recovery. I start getting calls from the office, the IT folks looking on the multiple cameras we have in this pristine high-tech office space we have in downtown Houston, telling me, Ben, you need to get on the cameras and take a look. It looks funny. You know, I'm one of the closest people to downtown. I said, no problem. Tomorrow morning, Sunday, I'll go in and take a look. I came in Sunday morning, flashed my access card, the gates roll up, and as I enter into the glass doors with drizzle in the outside, there is a monsoon on the inside. It is raining cats and dogs inside my office, and I look around, and you know, it's kind of hilarious. I mean, I'm laughing on the outside. Here it is, rain coming down the tiles and sparks and the glass and the lights and the... But, you know, the truth of the matter is I started thinking, that's the office building we have spent 10 years of our life building. And I begin to cry on the inside, but the chuckles keep coming out, and it's a eerie feeling. And as I walk through the offices, I think server room. Millions of dollars of servers, and please, Lord, don't let it be the server room. And I walk into the IT office, and in the back of it is this large server room, glass walls, and I can see the lights, but there's water running down the windows, and I'm thinking the worst. And I go through the server room, pristine. 67 degrees, the thermostat says, right on temperature, and it looks to me like all things are humming well. And I sat in paradise for a while and turned back at the window that was nothing but rain coming down, and again chuckled on the inside. I chuckled on the outside and cried on the in. And then I left the office, only to find out the very next morning, Monday morning, I'm getting calls from people that we have servers going down. And they tell me upon inspection that that room has been losing its cool temperature and high humidity has taken over. And although we haven't had a breach in the walls, the heat, 96 degrees now in the room, and we clearly have to get that equipment out of harm's way. But this is when you see the true grit, that special something that, from my perspective, makes the privilege of serving the people who I work with so special, because they took on their ownership in those special operation areas they had and ran with that instruction flawlessly. What an unbelievable story of adversity, and our organization will never be the same, but I think in a very special and unique way. And there's a lot of people, the supplement to this story is there's a lot of people in EO who were concerned about me and literally called me every day. The insurance issue then became my next battle, and a gentleman by the name of Steve Kearley volunteered and insisted as I'm going through all this crisis. He says, I know you're busy, but you promised to send me that insurance policy for me to review. Had I not sent it to him, it is clear I wouldn't have had the outcome I did with my insurance policy. To think that I would ever leverage EO in that special way again never could have been predicted in a million years, and Steve Kearley is a hero. Saved our company. We have now been very well protected from insurance that had holes in it. Secondarily, I will also tell you I got calls from Kevin Langley, the gentleman who experienced all of this hurricane stuff, and he was the person who helped us find the remediation company, and a daily call from him, how are you doing, really brought a smile, and just thank goodness there's people like that out there in the world. And that's a story, and I'm going to stick to it for the time being.
That was a really amazing story. I was really taken of how often I heard in that story that EO members were providing real-life experience without waiting to be asked.
Yeah, you're right, Andrea. Each of Ben's friends had expertise, and because of that expertise, knew that Ben might need assistance in that area.
Definitely. Kevin Langley had been through a hurricane in New Orleans and just knew that Ben should leave the EO Leadership Conference early and get back to his family, his home, his business. Kevin knew from personal experience what Ben didn't know, that Ben's employees would also need to be communicated with, and that Ben was the leader who needed to be close to them.
And what about Steve Kearley insisting on seeing this insurance policy before the insurance adjuster showed up? Obviously, Steve's business and personal experience meant he knew what to look for in the policy and also how to be prepared and communicate with the insurance company. What a huge value that's been for Ben.
And what about Ben himself? He didn't allow the devastation in his office to take him over or bring him down. He had great perspective and peace in that, for the most part, his clients were fine. His employees were fine, and his family was safe, and that together they could overcome this hurricane. And what a moment to understand what is truly important.
And you know what, I wonder if he would have been at peace if he didn't have all that great support from EO members who cared about him.
I completely agree. Let's summarize some of the key things that Ben did to put himself in a position to increase the odds of gaining the support that he received, even though he had no idea he would ever need it. He engaged in EO and met people who got to know him, locally and internationally, local board positions, and then engaged in EO leadership.
Attendance at EO international events. Had he not, he would have never met Kevin or Steve and developed the relationships that have helped him and his family.
By giving his time to EO, EO members felt compelled to help him.
Kevin, Steve, his foreign group, and the countless others who have offered support. Everyone enjoys giving to someone who has already given of themselves.
Next week, we'll be back to our regular format, but since Ben shared in detail his story and it was so compelling, we felt it was something that deserved its own week. So if you want to download this story, select iTunes. If you know of members who are not getting the most possible value from EO because they're not engaged, Share Ben's story. It sums up the value of EO in less than 10 minutes.
And if you have a compelling story, share it with EOtv by sending us an email. And remember, go as far as you can see, and when you get there, you will see further.
My, we'll see you next time.